because they were self-realized, because they had the power of their self. And this is what has to come one day to New York, which is very important. But as this is the financial capital of the world, they say, money becomes more important. And those who can charge money, many people have told me that if you start charging money, there will be many more people who will come. But you cannot, because how much can you pay for your self-realization? So the understanding will come and there's nothing to feel upset. Because anything that is reality doesn't start with a bang. You can create thousands of plastic flowers, but to create one real flower, it takes time. And you have to have that patience. Because Sahaja Yoga is a living process of your evolution. You have evolved into this human state. There's a little breakthrough that is to be achieved. When I came here, this was the first country I visited. And that time, I was amazed how people were seeking ardently, but how they were misled by advertising, by false promises, and also by using all kinds of devious methods. There was no honesty about it. There's no simplicity about it. And they worked. At that time when I was talking, I remember I was in Los Angeles and San Francisco. The gentleman who had organized my program told me that, Mother, you better take a sort of a copyright. I said, for what? He said, for your lectures. Because they'll use your lectures and they'll put up big organizations. I said, let them. It's a very good idea. It will go to people. It's a very good idea. That they should know there's a new age coming. They should also know there's Aquarius age. They should know all about it. There's no harm. But I'm not interested that I should do it. Anybody else can do it, will be a good idea, because what I'm interested in, that people should get their knowledge. They should get their self-realization. And that's how so many ideas have cropped up. And what I feel, that there's a kind of a guru shopping going on. And people are lost. Also, they have lost faith. It's unfortunate, very unfortunate, because the people who deserve, who need Sahaja Yoga, live in New York, not in India. In India, people are not so tensed up. They are not so upset, though they are poor, but the riches also gives you lots of problems. But when they say that the people are affluent, they go up to a point where they start just feeling what is beyond. There must be something beyond this. This is not the end of it. And that's what we say, that after the principle of Lakshmi, that is the wealth, is fulfilling, then the Mahalakshmi is the higher seeking starts. So seeking after money, seeking after power, when it shows its results, when it has an effect on the personality of a person, when they see that the society suffers, every individual suffers, the ecology problem, then they start thinking, where did we go wrong? I met many intellectuals also who study religion, study all kinds of yogas, They know, but nothing inside them. They said we have no power within ourselves that we could really control ourselves. They are taking drugs, they are alcoholics. I mean, if you look at them, you will not even think that they have read any book. The reason is the knowledge that we talk about is not a mental activity. It's not an emotional activity. It is a state of your awareness. Luckily, Jung has talked about it. That is the state of collective consciousness that is on your central nervous system. I think he has really clearly mentioned about it. But as he couldn't give realization to people, he couldn't prove it. Though people study him very hard, accept him as a philosopher. This is no question of philosophy, no question of reading. It is something within you, the power. It lies in the triangular bone and it has to be awakened. It's like a prelude in a seed which is to be sprouted. And for that, you cannot put in any effort. It has to be effortless. That is Sahaja. Saha means with and Ja means born. Is born with you this right to get this union with the divine. Now, if I say there's divine power, a subtle divine power of love of God, which is all pervading, people won't like it, because even to take the name of God, people don't like it, because they just think of fundamentalists. But if I say so, you have to treat it as a hypothesis, and you have to have an open mind of a scientist to see for yourself. If it is so, let us feel it. Why not? If you have that kind of an attitude, then it works. Even if you are an atheist, it works. Even if you are a certified bad person, it works. It may not work in some, but in many it works. And that is the last breakthrough. Just like I would say, to make it very simple, like this instrument is here. Unless and until it is connected to the mains, it has no meaning. In the same way, we are to be connected to the mains. And once we are connected to the mains, we know the absolute truth. That's a fact. Not because I am saying so, but you'll find it. That's a fact. As a result of that, so many things happen. As you have seen, there are 6 centers through which this power, this vital power, which is in the triangular bone, passes through, nourishes all these centers. These subtle centers are related to our plexuses. It goes up and down. To our plexuses, physical plexuses, as well as to our emotional side. As soon as these centers are nourished, we have seen, is a fact again, that very many incurable diseases are cured, no doubt about it. And cured without any medicine. The medicine is within you. But that's nothing. That's very simple. Mentally, many people have been cured. Also, your intelligence becomes balanced, sharper, deeper, and you become a dynamic person. But you are not aggressive. You are not aggressive, but you are compassionate. You are loving. You are beautiful. And you are magnetic. Even a glance of such a person can do wonders. The presence of such a person can do wonders. Now, supposing a person who is a violent person, who has been a criminal, who has been suffering from all kinds of diseases, and also he has been indulging into all kinds of nonsensical things which are self-destructive. If such a person becomes a beautiful person, why shouldn't we do that? Just think, this is something like Sahaja Yoga going up and down. Thank you. So, with this transformation, individuals change. But it works en masse. Masses change. Now, for example, in India, we have 15,000 people in big cities, 12,000 people, and they get their realization. The reason is there has been a lot of work done on this line. There have been lots of seers in that country. There have been a lot of saints, real saints, in that country who have talked about it. Thousands of years back, they have predicted about it. People know about it. There is a background. Same about Greece, same about Egypt. They are ancient countries. In that span of time, so many people came and talked about it and said about it. Not that America did not have self-realized people. Had. I would say Abraham Lincoln was a realized soul. But he could not talk about these things to people. They would not listen. There were many people who must have felt that this must be told, but the time was not there to talk about it or to write about it. But still, it can work out. We need only one Abraham Lincoln to do such a marvelous job. We don't need too many people. So we have to have such people around who will understand this great happening within ourselves. Now the modern Sahaja Yoga, because Sahaja Yoga has been there since ancient times, the modern Sahaja Yoga is the one by which you can have a mass realization, because the time has come. It's a blossom time. And in this blossom time, you have to have your realization. Then one can talk about God. When I came here first, I didn't talk about God, a word about it. I told them about all these powers and all that. And many organization has come up. I know of an Indian gentleman who has a very big following here, who came to Sahaja Yoga, and he said that I have to start making money out of it. And he has lots of disciples. There's a big ashram here. Very surprising. But we should not deviate ourselves, because reality is the one that is going to work it out, not artificiality. There's something good about artificiality, that it shows up. It exposes itself. And artificial people fight among themselves and it gets neutralized. It does no good to anyone except for filling somebody's pockets and spoiling so many people. It doesn't do any good. So it is for us to understand, not to get disappointed. I started Sahajayoga with one person. What is important is how deep we go into ourselves and acquire something that is our own, which makes you an absolute personality. Tomorrow again we are going to have my lecture, so I hope I'll be able to tell you more about it. But today I think let's spend some time in question and answer would be a good idea. Let's see what sort of questions you have. Listen, come this side, is better for me. It's just... I said, no. I was saying the one who has to listen to the question could be on this side to tell you. Yeah. So, yes, please. Oh, give it to Christine, I can't hear.
She wishes to apologize for all the New Yorkers who didn't come.
You see, do you think that New York belongs to you? It belongs to me also. Whom are you apologizing? It's all right. It's all right, doesn't matter. May God bless you. You see, what works in all these places is high technology of advertising. That's what they're used to, conditioning. But they'll come round, don't you worry. Yes, please.
It is a state of mind. Right? Now, there are two kinds of thoughts. One is the technical thought, other is thought which involves desire, wishes and all that. For that, mostly says the mind should be vacant and should be silent mind or a meditative mind. Now in bhakti, which I find that you have to exert your will. The moment you force your will on your thinking, then you are making the mind or brain or whatever or thought you may call it dull. That sensitivity, the awareness of the mind is lost. So I would like if you could just...
Yeah. See, bhakti that we know of is the bhakti when we are not connected with God. When we are not connected with God, it's something like we are telephoning without the connection. That's why bhakti fails. But the bhakti of a person starts as a shraddha when he is connected. The difference between the two types of bhakti you can see in our Indian literature very clearly. Well, Meera is talking, when will I meet you? How will I meet you in separation? And there are people like Nanaka, there are people like Kabira, who talk with authority. Pacho pachiso pakada bulao ekahi dora bandhao. I'll get to allow 25 people and put them onto one string of Kundalini. That authority, like Christ. That authority with which they talk when they sing the praise of God. Like Nanaka says, why are you running to the jungles? God is within you. Seek within yourself. That authority, when they talk, you can feel it, that these are the people who are connected. So the bhakti without the connection has no meaning. On the contrary, it is sometimes very dangerous. In my experiences of the people who have been bhaktas of this kind, it's amazing that I have seen these centers, as we are talking about, have deities on them. Now, if a person is following a particular deity, say for example, we say Shiva is in the heart, and a person who follows Shiva or calls his name gets a heart attack. You can make it out from the disease he has what deity he is after. I used to wonder why it should happen, but it's something very simple to understand. That without any protocol, how can you take the name of God? Supposing we have here Mr. Bush as your president. If I go to White House and start shouting, Mr. Bush, I'll be arrested. In the same way, we have to have a sanction. Without any sanction, if you just get after God all the time, torture him and God saying, God, 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 you get arrested. And many people come to me and said that now see, we've been reading so much of Sri Krishna's thing, we are taking his name and we've got a cancer of the throat. Because he remains on the Vishuddhi, you get into trouble. If you find a Christian who is a fundamentalist, he'll have this agya very badly caught up, horrible. Because you are not authorized. Whatever is the fact, I'm telling you. So you have to have connection with God. If I belong to India, I can ask Indian government for my rights. I can't ask United States government for my rights. Unless and until you are in the kingdom of God, how can you ask for your rights? You have to enter into it. So just now as human beings, it's the grace of God that can work on us, but we cannot demand unless and until we are connected. And I have seen it out and out. In Maharashtra, people are very devoted to Dattatreya, Adi Guru, you see, and that principle lies in our void here, as shown here. Invariably, they all suffer from stomach trouble. So the pestering God like that, without authority, is very dangerous. I see, even to approach a prime minister, you have to go through so many channels and to have an authority. Then God is what? He's not in our pockets. That we just take him out, oh God, now come along, tomorrow give me a job, day after tomorrow do this. It's only possible if you are in his kingdom. Then you can say that. Even you don't have to say, he just looks after you. It's a fact. But nobody is going to believe it unless until you have the experience. Now there are many here who have experienced that. So the bhakti has to be enlightened Shraddha. In the same way, the technique There was one self-realization organization here in America, which was the same style as the Bhakti style. When I first came, I was amazed that the tongues were cut and the tongues were hanging, just like a dog's wag, you see, has a tongue hanging down. They couldn't talk, these people. I was told that this was done just to put the tongue back for a thing called khechari, that is in Rajyog. And it was called as Kriya Yoga. So you have to do the Kriya, you have to do the action, take the tongue and put it back. Now, this is artificial. When the Kundalini rises, you see, like a car when you start, automatically all machinery starts working. When the Kundalini rises, automatically the khechari takes place here. You don't even feel it, but it works that way. Bandhas take place, everything takes place. We don't know anything. When you eat your food, digestion starts. You don't feel your food digested. So it's so automatic, it's spontaneous, it's living. But this kind of a self-realization is like move the wheel or move the tire of the car and it moves, something of that kind. It's very artificial. We have not been able to see through that so much of artificiality in the name of God is carried on. And then they say there's no God. If you do something artificial about it, you are not entering into the reality. Now we have many people who are supposed to be in bhakti. They do all kinds of things. They are smugglers, they are black marketeers, they are killers, they are murderers. You may follow any religion. You may be a Christian, Hindu, Muslim, any religion, Buddhist, anything. You can murder anyone. I mean, there's no harm. Nobody thinks that it is important that because you are a Christian you can't murder. So there's no binding. There's no power that controls you. But once you are a realized soul, you just don't do wrong things. Just don't do it. Because all this is artificial. But to accept it, we find it difficult because it's a conditioning in our mind that you see if you do bhakti is all right. All right? You have to have bhakti, but it's more an entertainment. This kind of a bhakti is more an entertainment. Real bhakti is only possible when you become one with the divine. All right?
That means that there is a method to achieve this.
Yes, of course.
But they say the truth is pathless.
Truth is what?
Pathless. It has no way. No, you can't say truth. Because
Who says that? Who says that?
No, that's obvious.
No, nothing obvious.
I have met persons, you see, who have never read any book.
Yes, of course, there's no need to
They
be.
had no guru.
Nothing. I am one of them. I am one of them. I have not read any book. I have had no guru. Nothing. I am born like that.
No, the logical thing they say that they are their previous karmas. Maybe.
I am born like this, with knowledge.
So what I mean to say, that the very awakening in those persons.
Awakening is always described in all the books. In all our scriptures, awakening is described. Even in Quran it is described. Everywhere it is described, there has to be an awakening. There has to be an enlightenment. You see, we would say that at the time of Sri Krishna, he didn't talk of Kundalini awakening, because that was not the time. But in the 12th century, we had Ganeshwara, who was one of the greatest poets you could think of on spirituality, who died at the age of 23 and wrote his Ganeshwari at the age, they say so, of 14 years of age. The whole of Gita is written. In that he has very nicely, in the 6th chapter, described how you get your realization through Kundalini awakening very clearly. Now, let us take this way also, that whatever is written, or whatever is there, today Krishna is not here, today Ganeshwara is not here. Let us see if this is the truth or not. Why to depend on something, the explanation of which we cannot ask? Why not today, as it is, I am sitting here to get your self-realization, than to depend on something which you cannot explain, you cannot grasp. It's always so. As you know, when Sri Rama came in India, they said, we believe in Parshurama. Then when Sri Krishna came, they said, we believe in Rama. Because they are all dead, so it's better to believe in something who is dead. So you can believe into whatever you like. But why not believe when somebody is living? There's no question of believing also, just to get it is your own. If this diamond is your own, why not get it? Why to depend on something? Because somebody has said something somewhere. Why not we achieve it? Supposing I say, there's a diamond available here free. Not New York, even from Australia people will fly out. We should have the same attitude towards spirituality. Then only it works. Otherwise, there are many who are depending on such a thing and have died depending on such thing. Got nothing.